Hey, welcome back to the garage, everyone. Your home for the most popular, least watched automotive enthusiast channel on YouTube. This weekend, we've got a W210 Mercedes that won't start no matter what we try. All right, here we are underneath their W210 E320 Mercedes-Benz Estate. In other words, station wagon if you're in America. All right, folks, you know, everything I read online has, oh yeah, the fuel pump is right there next to the fuel filter underneath the cover on the driver's side of the car. Well, guess what? No, it's not. Not on the station wagon, not on the Estate. Joy, joy. So I don't know where those lines are going. My guess is going to be back up there on top of the fuel tank somewhere, so we may not get to that today. But while we're in here, let's go ahead and change the fuel filter. And how you get in here, basically just a plastic panel right here with three little nuts. You take them off real easy, not a huge deal at all. And these clamps, these Mercedes clamps, they look like they're really easy to get off too. You can get a screwdriver on them, and you can also get a socket. So up next, I'm going to pull these hoses off and get this fuel filter changed out. All right, we're making a little bit of progress here. I think I'm going to get away with not having to replace any of these fuel lines. They don't look too bad, really. That one looks a little cruddy, but it's not cracked or anything, so we're just going to put the clamps, we're just going to replace the filter, put the clamps back on, and put it back together. So you've got two 10mm nuts here adhering the filter to the car, so got to get a closed-in wrench on those. Can't get my nut driver in there, so stand by, we're going to get that out. All right, there's your new fuel filter. The bracket's really simple. You got two 10mm nuts that go in there, and this is a piece of rubber. It's very flexible. Keeps the filter from jiggling around underneath the car. And let's go ahead and mount this back up underneath our W210. All right, so on the E320 W210 Mercedes wagon, the fuel pump is not next to the fuel filter like it is on the sedan. On a wagon, the fuel pump is right here underneath the fuel filler. So let's get underneath there and take a look at that. All right, here we go. Here's the fuel tank. And our fuel pump is right underneath this cover right here. So let's go ahead and pull this cover off next. All right, there's your little cover right there. Basically just some holes and some little plastic doohickeys that hold it onto the pump. You can see those little clips there on the rubber mounting pieces there for the pump. So here's your pump on your E320 wagon, right here on the tank, right on the side of the tank towards the front of the car. All right, so we've got a couple of electrical connectors here and here, fuel line here. This could be a good indication that this thing is ready to go. You've got a lot of this this wetness here. I think that's probably an indication that this thing is starting to seep fuel, and I think we're catching this at the right time. All right, I used a pair of these to go ahead and clip this permanent clamp off of the main feed line going into the pump. So up next, going to grab the hose with a pair of channel locks, give it the old twisty action a little bit, kind of break it loose a little bit, kind of hoping there's not enough fuel in this tank to get any spillage out. Well, let's just hope for the best, shall we? As I recall, I don't think there's a whole lot of fuel in here. I think there might be, I don't know, 4 or 5 gallons. But this exit point here is a good bit over the bottom of the tank, but I don't know. Trying to avoid having a bath in gasoline here, folks. So, all right, we got that big hose off that's the fuel inlet hose coming off of the tank. We've got that disconnected from the pump. I've got a pair of vice grips holding clamped off there to keep the flow down, and I got it down to a trickle. I've got it going into this thing here, so I think we can live with that for now. Let's go ahead and see if we can get this these electrical connections and this output disconnected next. All right, we've got we're making some progress here. We got these two electrical connections disconnected, and we went ahead and disconnected the pressure side. You have to clip these OEM clamps off with a cutter, something similar to that. And now keep in mind, this is the pressure side, so if you don't release the pressure in the engine bay, probably with a fitting somewhere where I don't know where it is, you just got to be mindful that when you sort of tweak this line, it's going to go psh, like I was aware that it was going to do that, but you have to know that it's going to do that or you're going to get a face full of gasoline. So I'm just saying, be careful. It'll be okay. Just let it go psh, but make sure it goes that way, right? Away from you. All right, so we're going to pull this pump. These are just little rubber brackets, and the pump will just slide back out of this way. All right, we're near about done here. So got the two electrical connections back on. These are two different size nuts, so I'm not sure why they did that, but it is what it is. And got a new El Cheapo clamp up there on the outlet. Get our little rubber covers. Be careful with these connections here. They're not too robust. They're kind of delicate. And so we got that tightened down, got those on, got that on. Now let me get a couple of cheap clamps back here on this feed hose, and then we'll be done. And then we'll put the cover back on. All right, local O'Reilly's. Got a nice old square body Chevrolet right there. And it starts well too. All right, let's go in here and get us some clamps. All right, we got us some clamps here. And these are the good ones. They only keep them in the back. So if you want the good stuff, it's in the back. Just go ask. All right, we got the good clamps from O'Reilly's installed on our outlet pipe from the tank to the pump. And these are pretty good clamps. I always say the qualities, they're nice. They're made out of steel. They're not aluminum. They're good. They were definitely worth the trip up to the parts house. All right, we're all done except for the cover. So let me go ahead and fire this thing up, make sure that none of this leaks, and then we'll put the cover on, and then we'll move on. All right, we'll let the fuel pump prime for a moment. Let's try again. The reason for our maintenance today is we pulled in the driveway in this old car the other day and she just shut right down and she would not crank back up. So I'm going to go ahead and change out the crank position sensor. It's really hard to see. Let me see if we can get an angle on it here. See if we can get some light down in there. There we go. All right, now this guy is right there. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get one hand down in there, and it's got a spring-loaded clip on there. We're going to pull the wiring harness off. I'm going to get a Torx bit on that and pull that sensor out of the engine. All right, here's your crank position sensor wiring harness. The way this thing comes off is actually pretty simple. You have to do it by feel. You can't really see it while you're doing it, but what you're looking for is this little ridged portion right here. You're going to pull up on that slightly so that it comes out. It's spring loaded, and once you pull up on that, it'll just slip right on off of there. All right, we're going to go ahead and get an E8 Torx down in there and get the sensor out. All right, little trick to get this sensor out of the back of the engine. Now, what I would recommend is a good long 1/4 inch extension. So I've got like a 3-inch and like a 6-inch attached to that E8 Torx, and it brings the end of it right up here, you know, towards the top of the engine, and we were able to break it free quite easily. So it just popped on loose there, because if you get like just a handheld driver down in there, it's just too tight. So if you bring it on up here with an extension and get a 1/4 inch ratchet on it, no problem whatsoever. All right, let's go ahead and get that thing out of the car. All right, we got it all buttoned up, so we're going to show you how we get in there and get this little Torx bolt off of this crank position sensor with just one hand. Okay, so I've got the old one sort of arbitrarily placed here on the air filter housing just for demonstration purposes, and that's kind of the same angle that it's going to be inside the engine. So you're going to come in here with your little nut driver, Okay, this is for the reinstallation, right? So you'll want to hold your tool in this. If you've never done this sort of thing, you're going to want to hold your tool in sort of in this fashion. And you're going to come in here and just locate yourself with your fingers, right? And you grab a hold of it and you figure out where it is. And you know the bolt hole is directly below, right? So once you find that out, you're going to come in here and you're going to position your tool down in here like this and start to tighten up, okay? Now the other, whoops-a-daisy. So the other, well, this is comical. So the other portion of this thing is also the positioning of the sensor in the engine. Clearly you have to, this hole has to mount up with the hole so that you can screw it in. So you'll have to move it this way or that way and get your hole lined up so the bolt will fit. So, all right, just a couple of quick tips on changing out a crank position sensor in your W210 Mercedes. All right, so we're back to the original problem. Crank sensor replacement, no dice. Fuel filter and fuel pump replacement, no dice. So I figured, you know, those two items were really common. I'm guilty of trying to throw money at it instead of troubleshooting it correctly from the get-go. Well, troubleshooting on the back end has led me to this place right here. I know that W210 cars from the late 90s, they had a, this particular module was called a K40. I don't know if it's called a K40 on a 2000, but here we are. Got a couple of computer modules right here. Let's hope that, you know, we don't have to dig into that. I'm going to make it a guess here that we may have a wiring issue in this particular area. So the power wire going to the fuel pump is a, I believe it's red with a green stripe. That might be it right there. I'm not sure though. There's a couple of them with the same color scheme really. They're coming off of that connector right there. Right about now, I wish I knew what I was doing. Anyway, so I'm gonna just kind of give it the old wiggle test here and just kind of, you know, give it that and see. Let's see what happens. Let's see if she fires. Nope. I think I'm going to disconnect the battery, pull this module out of here, and see what's underneath. Well, I think that's all for one day. Evidence that I've uncovered online seems to say that this is the fuel pump relay, but the evidence is sort of indirect. I haven't seen something that says definitely a W210 from the year 2000. That is the fuel pump relay. Anyway, I took it out and I tested it with the power supply here, and the relay's fine. It clicks just fine. Now, is this the fuel pump relay? Is it getting power? I don't know. We've got some more troubleshooting to do here. All right, so today I have been stumped. I pulled this out, checked the relay here with my good old trusty power supply, and it checked out pretty good. So that leaves the question, is this in fact a fuel pump relay? I put the part numbers on the internet, and it basically said, it pumped out some stuff that said, and one or two websites that says this is a Mercedes fuel pump relay, although it didn't say specifically for my car, a 2000 model E320. These solder connections on this side of the board, they all look fantastic. I don't see any cracks or anything. But then again, I don't have eyes that can detect microscopic imperfections. So more troubleshooting is in order. So new fuel pump, new crank sensor, new fuel filter. Still have a no start situation. The engine cranks fine because I used a little bit of ether and put it down the old intake hose, and it just fired right up until the ether ran out, and then, you know, went dead. So, and also I got up underneath the car, turned the ignition switch on, got my meter on the pump. There's 12 volts is definitely not going to the pump. So that is our no start issue, and that will require more troubleshooting on another day, namely tomorrow. But I may upload this video tonight. All right, folks, that's about it for this evening. Appreciate you guys stopping by the channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to be notified whenever I release a new video regarding the troubleshooting of a no-start situation on a W210, don't forget to click that little bell down below. You guys have a good one, and we'll see you real soon because we're going to fix this problem.